As all of you know, I've released 2 videos on the Uzu versus Will V situation. In the first video, I've talked about Uzu's side of the story and went over his documents. I've also given a few thoughts in my head and moved on with it. But a day later, Turbo, one of Will's friends, decided to DM me and also give Will's side of the story, since Will's story was extremely vague and unclear in the first documents. Even while I was commentating on it, I was having a little bit of hard time to understand about what 20% and what the hell was going on generally. So then I agreed to talk to Will V and hear his side of the story. So I've already talked about what he said in my video, and I've also went over Reborn's interview in my video. Will wants his 20% back, while Reborn gave me a recap of the situation and some other stuff that we talked about. Again, that interview with Reborn was in no way, shape, or form was to attack Uzu or anybody else. Reborn only talked about his past grievances with Uzu, and then again after talking about these past grievances, then he mentioned how he has changed for the better, or still is changing for the better. He did not take any sides, and the reason why he talked more about Uzu was because he had a deeper relationship with Uzu. He did of course also talk about Will, but again, he knew about his situation, but also the context of the situation. So for Will's side, he only was able to give me comments on that. So now with this out of the way, there has been a lot of twisting of context by certain individuals in the community that are using Reborn Nova as a scapegoat to antagonize me. I will be going over all of this. However, I'd first like to talk about the document that Uzu released today. The document that I'm about to talk about is going to be with no bias whatsoever. I'm not going to include any of my opinions either for this document, because last video, again, certain individuals decided to take these out of context and then paint me as an antagonist. Okay, so Uzu's response to this entire thing was obviously pretty swift, because it was of course going over Will's side of the story. Okay, so I'm not going to read out the entire thing, but I'll just highlight a few things from this first part. If you want to read any of these things for yourself, just pause the video or check the document out. Okay, so his first response is about Shift Plucks. So again, he says how he offered Shift 5% of YBA's profits to work on YBA as an animator, but then he mentions that later on he realized that animations were supposed to be paid in commission instead of percentage, and to make up for this, he doubled his percentage to 10% for 3 months. And he also paid him commission for his new animations. So it's fine up until here. Again, Shift was okay with this change, so I do not have much to say about this. However, one fact that did not get mentioned here was the fact that Uzu did offer to pay him 10% of the game's profit for his previous animations. However, he only paid a constant of 800k, which again does not amount to the game's profits. And Shift himself said that he only realized this after getting the payment for 4 weeks. And when he confronted Uzu about this, Uzu said how it was a paycheck. However, again, if Shift was okay with this change of payment and change of context, I have literally nothing else to say for this portion. And again, this portion was not brought up to ruin Uzu's reputation. It was merely context on something extremely similar that happened to Will. One other thing he mentions in this paragraph is that Uzu asked Will V about this, and Will V agreed to this without any problems. And he's saying that Will is now trying to use this example against him. So after going through my entire interview conversation with Will V, or rather his mega paragraph, I've only seen this being mentioned once. However, it wasn't the basis of the argument. But yeah, Will was using Shift's case to make his own case look better. But again, in my interview with Will and Reborn, anyone fails to mention this fact, and thus I have included the Shift block situation at the start to give context on something, again, extremely similar to Will's case, and to give early context to what Reborn was talking about early into the interview. And I know that I'm going to repeat myself, but again, for that same reason, it was never a statement made to make Uzu look bad. So then we move on to the next paragraph. In here, he mentions the reason why he made such a terrible business decision. He also says how he took the fault for that portion, but then he also mentions how Will shouldn't be complaining making over $60,000 a year. So again, when I heard Will's side of the story, I have never once heard him complain about the 60 grand or any sort of money he has made from YBA. He may may or may not have done this in other places or Uzu's old friend groups. However, again, the conversation I had with Will, not even once had he complained about the money he had made. And for this portion, I can see Uzu admitting to this. However, although he does admit the fact that cheating Will out of his 20% was not a right thing to do, you are still using the map that Will made, and also, from again what I've been told from Will's side, you kicked Will out of the team without prior notice. So I don't know if you offered him 20% to make the map, or offered him 20% as long as you've used his map. But if you did offer him 20% just for the map itself, you genuinely do not have the right, or still do not have the right, to sever him away from his 20%. But if it's case number 2, you offered Will severance payment, which that would make more sense. And I believe you also did hire Zartania to make a new map / improve the current map. But with that out of the way, moving on to the next paragraph. He says that Reborn states that Will did any task and every task that Uzu gave him, and Will was never even given tasks to do. The statement from Reborn already contradicts Uzu's first document. Uzu mentions how he talked about asking Zartania to make a new map publicly with Will as well. And honest to God, at this point, I do not know the accuracy or the truth behind this statement from both sides. The reason being is that this is a he said, she said statement. Uzu, if you do have proof about this situation, please post it on the new document as well. And one last thing Uzu says about this portion is that he says that this is completely made up to further try and manipulate the audience into believing I am the devil. So this is just extremely untrue, at least from my portion, and I believe I can make a defense on behalf of Reborn. Reborn has only stated a past negative, and right after that he would state a positive currently. He talked about what Uzu did in the past. However, then again, he did talk about Uzu's current payments and how he has gone up for the better. And these negative past statements were again made to show how Uzu has changed from this person to that person. However, I can agree that in some portions of the video, Reborn did go off a little bit overboard. One example being him calling Uzu the Apostle of Greed. Some portions were just unnecessary. However, all of these were again set to show how Uzu went from this one person to another. Uzu then goes on to restate the previous thing he has stated. There was nothing for Will to make because the YBA map was already set and done. That was until Uzu realized there was some lag in the map and he hired someone to remake the map, and Will was in there while this discussion was taking place. He says the reason why he didn't ask Will to redo the map is because he didn't want a person who made a laggy map to remake the map, but he still included Will into the conversation of making a new map, which is again fair because Will did hear about this, and it's just straight up his fault if he did not take initiative on this. So after this, he says that yet Reborn and others are trying to use this against me. Okay, so in this by others portion, if he is referring to me, in my defense, this was an interview. I put everything in because that's what was given to me. You can't expect me to be a telepath and know that every word that comes out of his mouth is true. However, a lot of the story that he mentioned aligned with what Will said, aside from his personal stories. Again, this was an interview, so I heard him out and I put the entirety, if not a majority, of what he said into the video. This doesn't only apply for this interview with Reborn, this also applies to Uzu's documents. Some of you are probably saying, if you didn't know that everything that came out of Reborn's mouth was true, why did you put it in the video? To counter-argue that, was everything in Uzu's document the truth? I didn't know that either. However, I still went over the document, and again, with the information I had, I gave a few thoughts and opinions. So how much of a hypocrite do you think I would have been if I didn't do the same for the other side? But again, I went over what they had to say, put a few thoughts, and that was the end of it. Second thing, I could never contact Uzu directly, and his lack of communication in the community is the main cause of that. Some of you are probably going to again counter-argue, then why didn't you ask Paragon to contact him for you? The reason why I did not do this is because Paragon has been known to lying to the entire community for the longest time. His actions and his reactions to things have been nothing but extremely childish up until now, thus why I could not trust this person. I'll be giving more examples and proof to this further into the video, but for now, continuing the document. Or the next paragraph, he says Will did not complete his tasks immediately and Uzu had to pressure him and constantly ask him to finish his map or finish his task because he was lazing around. In the interview, Reborn mentions Will being lazy, however right after he does this, he does mention this portion about how Will did his tasks immediately. So I guess that was a poor choice of words from Reborn's side. Uzu mentions that Reborn said that Uzu was able to defend his side, however this defense was only made with Reborn showing his DMs with Uzu to everyone else. By everyone else, I mean Uzu's friend group. I can probably agree with this portion. Will banning Uzu from their friend group, and then Reborn also saying that they did show his DM conversation with Will or Reborn was a defense is absolutely not right. In a situation like this, both sides had to be heard out, however Will failed to do this. Him banning Uzu from the group directly after him also putting out his side of the story was not the right thing to do, as this has caused bias among the people. However, the lack of context in Uzu's first document has led me to hear out Will V. The 20% portion and Will V's screenshotted portion was extremely unclear. There was no clarification of the deal whatsoever. Uzu talks about taking responsibility for what he did to Will, which is taking away his 20%. But again, the context behind this 20% was extremely unclear and vague. So next paragraph, he talks about Reborn never got to use a spec he made for Uzu. This portion does not concern me, nor do I think of making a defense for Reborn. This was a part of our interview. I did include it, but that's his words. So if Reborn does have to say anything about this portion, he should just say it in Uzu's DMs if he does still have access to it. Moving on to the next paragraph, Uzu talks about Reborn saying that he made mod specs solely for doing Uzu's homework and schoolwork. I think I was the one who originally brought this discussion into the interview, and the reason why I did was because Will V brought this into his paragraph as well. His counter argument to Uzu calling him lazy was this. Will essentially made the argument that Uzu wasn't stressed out because he had people doing his schoolwork for him, implying that he basically had a lot of time to work on an update. And so to get more context on this, I had Sony added into the group chat, who did admit that they either got paid Robux or with spec buffs. And then I also had Reborn confirm this as well, which did confirm the fact that Uzu did pay his mods to do his schoolwork for him. As to the reason why I brought this up into the interview, I was going over Will V's statements with Reborn, so this was a part of it as well. This was not an attempt to make Uzu look bad from our side. However, I cannot say the same for Will V. But again, Uzu's counter argument to this makes sense. YBA grew big and he had to add YBA into his lifestyle as well, so understandably he split up his schoolwork amongst his friends. However, some people are going to argue if this was truly the case, then why didn't he release an update in the last 2 months? Flam, a developer for YBA, made a really good counter argument against this. Even though the situation erupted in his first document, he mentions how he did lose friends in this situation, which did take a mental toll on him. So at this last portion, we see Reborn's house situation. His first argument in this paragraph is a brief context on how Reborn almost lost his house because, in quotes, he didn't pay him enough for the Tusk beatdown animations he made. Uzu's counter argument to this is that Reborn has been in the dev team for months prior, which means that he knew how much money he would be getting paid for his house in months of preparation. So I'd like you to keep in mind that Reborn is also a commission animator, meaning you pay him, He does animation for you. It's not like he gets paid by the hour. Uzu in the next paragraph explains that he paid Reborn a set amount of money at the time, but when Reborn asked for more money for the animations, for the reasons of him working on it for an entire day and pulling an all-nighter, he says that he already paid the value of the animation. And again, this is because Reborn Nova is a commission worker. So in the next paragraph, he says he knew how much Uzu has been paying him for months and he did not quit YBA or he did not get another job to pay for his house. Then he mentions the fact that Reborn talked to Uzu and said that he also had to work for AUT for extra payment for his house. And for this reason, Uzu says that he couldn't believe that he couldn't pay for his house, and also the reason why he didn't increase his pay. To counter argue this portion with what Reborn told me, Reborn mentioned first how he did say he wanted more pay because he spent more time on it. However, that was the surface reason, because he first did not want to guilt trip Uzu with his own situation, but then he brought it up and Uzu still did not pay him. And then he mentions how after this he talked about the AUT situation to him, and after this payment issue with Uzu, how he was barely able to pay for his house. And again, this is just another he said, she said situation, so this needs to be discussed between Reborn and Uzu themselves. Next paragraph, Uzu says that Reborn left already before regarding the payment issue. He says that he felt as if Reborn was trying to manipulate him ever since he started working for YBA. And to back this manipulation talk up, he says that, and I quote, "He had been working for me and treating me as a friend while simultaneously secretly planning my downfall with Will behind my back." This is an extremely weak argument, and allow me to explain. These have all been surfaced in Uzu's eyes after the Will V situation. However, the house problem arises a year before that. So Uzu, I'm sorry, but you just cannot use this as an argument to back your part up. You cannot say that this happened now, so that's the reason why I didn't do this a year ago. And plus, even a year ago, Reborn mentions how he has known you since 2013. So jobs aside and this future fact aside, did you really not believe your friend at that time? A friend you have known for this long. Moving on, he also says that I don't even know why he said I used his ignorance to pay him low. He was not the one that said that. I was the one who said that. And again, I only made that comment after saying with what was told to me and the givens on the table. In the next paragraph, Uzu talks about Reborn's comments on the current good payment. He mentions the fact that he's using the 20% from Will's pay to pay all the developers. This portion is also a weak argument, and allow me to explain why. Uzu admits to the fact that he agreed to pay Will 20% permanently originally, but he cut him off of that 20% without Will's consent. Thus, the reason why he should be taking responsibility for this and pay 20% out of his own pocket. Again, it might have been a bad business decision, or it might have not been worth it since Will did nothing. Those are thoughts, it's not fact, but looking at this factually, Uzu 100% needs to take responsibility for this out of his own pocket. And again, that's only if he agreed to a permanent 20% in exchange for the map. There's a few comments that Uzu makes about Reborn here. That's none of my business. That should be resolved between those two. Moving on. The final section is about Reborn and others saying Will is willing to forgive Uzu. Reborn, I believe, already forgave Uzu for his past grievances. He only just wants him to improve as a person. I cannot say the same for Will. Uzu makes an argument that he is probably not willing to forgive him even if he does restore it, and he lists good reason as to why he should not restore it, which is stuff such as the Robux poisoning incident. The highlight that this paragraph has that concerns me is the fact that how I don't talk about or concentrate on Will's Robux poisoning situation. And there is a simple explanation for this. Reborn already mentioned how Will wasn't even in the right either, and I also did the same at the end of my video. But the first reason why this interview does not revolve around Will's Robux poisoning incident is 1. I went over Will's side with Reborn. 2. Reborn had more history with Uzu, as I mentioned before, rather than with Will. So he obviously did not keep repeating and stating the obvious. And 3. Again, in my first video, I talked about Will's problems and Uzu's side of problems as well. I have literally done the same for the second video, and now just because I made a video on another person's side, suddenly I become a criminal. And this is the entire document. I don't plan on making any further videos on this topic specifically, so don't expect me to either, because again, some individuals are manipulating a lot of context to make me look bad. They have also used certain people in the community to make me look bad as well. Now, before you jump into any conclusions, again, I am not taking sides, nor have I been taking sides from the beginning. What I did with the first video was go over Uzu's side of the story, and in the second one, I went from Will's side of the story, plus Reborn Nova's grievances and compliments about Uzu. I have never taken initiative to defend both sides in any way, shape, or form. I have never said this guy's right or this guy is wrong. And again, I'd like this to be extremely transparent. So with that out of the way, moving on to the next segment of the video. How could this have been avoided? So let's take a look at the entire situation with the context I have. This all started when Uzu decided to take 20% of Will's permanent cut away. Will was not happy. He took initiative to do a lot of things, such as banning him from the friend group and not giving him a chance to speak, along with the fact that he talked about attempting to poison Uzu's Robux, which jeopardized YBA and its developers. Later on, Will V went public with this situation amongst the developer community and the closed community. The developer community is obviously the community of developers, and the closed community is a group of people who maintained a good relationship with these developers and key figures. So then fast forward to today, Uzu posted the document into the entire community of YBA. So with these given, how could have been this truly avoided? Number 1, obviously, Uzu should not have taken away Will's 20%. A lot of you are going to argue that Will did not deserve it because he wasn't doing anything or he was useless, etc., etc. That really does not matter, since at the end of the day, it was a deal set on stone. A lot of you are also going to argue that, but the money that was taken away from Will is now being used to pay the new devs better. But my counter argument to this is that Uzu should have again taken responsibility for this and taking the 20% cut out of his own pay, because at the end of the day, it was his deal with Will. It was not involved with the developers. So the developers' payments should have absolutely nothing to do with this. Solution number 2. Uzu should not have posted this document to the entire YBA community. I, as a channel, do not consider myself as a drama channel. I do not strictly post drama in my channel. I upload a large variety of videos into my channel. However, when situations like these go public, it's not a private matter anymore. A lot of you are also arguing and saying that I should not be posting about this since this is a private matter between Will and Uzu. My counter argument to that is, if it was truly a private matter, Uzu should not have posted that document into the entirety of the YBA community. And again, so I went over that document, gave a few thoughts, and ended it. But when Turbo reached out to me to give Will's side of the story and I heard Will out and made a video on it, it was suddenly a huge problem. So I think you can obviously see the bias here. Uzu wanted his side of the story to be heard, but couldn't do it in his friend group. But the same case persisted here. This time it was the other way around. Will wanted his side of the story heard, but he couldn't do it. That was until his side of the story was heard by me and looked at. And again, I didn't go out of my way to take sides. I only wanted to be fair, and I'm already pretty sure that Uzu wouldn't want the same thing that had happened to him to Will. Do I have any sort of personal hate against the people that I make the videos on? No, and absolutely not. I am not a Twitter user. I don't know these guys. These guys are just people across another screen. Thus, there is no reason for me to hate any of these people. Okay, with these clarified as well, I am moving on to the next segment of this video. There are multiple things that I'd like to talk about, but the first one being is this person known as Paragon, aka Alpha Cadet. To this day, this individual denies the fact that his old Discord username was Alpha/Alpha Cadet because of the fact that he is still ban evading to this day and still lying to the community and to the people who are blatantly believing him. So yes, this person has done several things against Discord TOS already, yet he still maintains his account. This is besides the point. I would like to get into his shameless slander and misinformation on me. I will be going over multiple screenshots and recordings as well. This person has been the main cause of the fact that this entire Will V versus Uzu situation got heated. He has gotten involved and also has involved some people to put out a lot of things and paint me as an antagonist. So first, I'd like to go over his Discord messages when I first released my video. Before I get into these, I'd like you to know that Paragon has no right to put words into Uzu's mouth, nor does he represent him in any way, shape, or form. Uzu can speak for himself, yet this man has went out of his way to, again, spread false rumors and misinformation about me, and to continue to slander my name to this day. Please take your time to pause on these screenshots and read, because I will just be saying my response. We all know the fact that Uzu agreed to a permanent 20%, however, Will being useless has nothing to do in this matter. An agreement was made and Uzu still has to take responsibility. And the final part is the part where it starts to get interesting. He says, and I quote, "I knew about this and actively encouraged Reborn to get a raise." Here he is talking about the fact that he knew about Reborn's criminally low underpay, and he is painting himself as the white knight that tried to encourage him to get a raise. In this next screenshot, he mentions how developers agreed to their pay, so there's no room to claim that Uzu scammed developers. Again, if that's the case, Uzu agreed to pay Will 20% as well, so there is no room for Uzu to just take it back. And then again, towards the bottom, another attempt to antagonize me. He is speaking as if he's the solution to all of the drama within the community. Again, Paragon does not speak for Uzu, nor did he have to get involved in speaking for Uzu. He could have just not responded to this at all, kept the chat shut, and waited for Uzu to type up a response document, and what I would have done would be to go over that with a new video and conclude it there. But since in here Paragon wanted to add gasoline into the fire, now I have to also defend myself. In this screenshot, he just gives a thought/opinion which nobody asked for. An extremely unnecessary comment and basically just speaking for Uzu. And then in here, he goes on to the portion where Reborn made a comment on Paragon. Mind you, this was like 5 seconds of the video of Reborn making a comment on Paragon. At the first time of the release of the video, he goes on to defend himself a lot. So this just shows me that he cares about his own image rather than the situation itself. And allow me to show you this further. In this screenshot, again, he talks about how he actively encouraged and supported the development team of YBA, and then starts showing multiple screenshots between him and Reborn. In here also, he again talks about his situation with Reborn. This screenshot here is going to be important. This portion is just Paragon insulting Will, which is essentially an attack or can be classified as hate. Again, don't get the wrong idea. I am not defending Will here. What he did was unacceptable. My response to the sub-announcement, he proceeds to leak our DMs to prove a point like he did to Kerr. A lot of our DMs were out of context and I am here to explain it. I believe that the main screenshot he used against me was this. Brief context to this screenshot. This was after I released the Kerr dev video. The one that I released about the beef between Paragon and Kerr. And the only reason why I released that video was because Paragon decided to argue with Kerr in public. He refused to take it into Kerr's DMs like Kerr requested. He only continued arguing in the YBA general chat. And I am also going to give you context on that Kerr situation. This is a long story, but I'll start with where all of this started. It started with a certain YBA YouTuber whose name I will not mention. He got his hands on Paragon's face reveal leak, and Paragon claims that this certain YouTuber doxed him in order to obtain the screenshot, which is completely untrue. For this portion I'm about to tell you, I do not have any proof whatsoever, but I have been playing YBA long enough to see this happen. So at the time, around a year ago, YBA was only averaging 5,000 players a day. Paragon one day decides to say, I'm going to post my face into active chat for a millisecond. Now, I don't know the exact motivation behind that, but he does it thinking that nobody's gonna take a picture of it. But surprise, surprise, someone did take a picture of it. And then it started spreading like wildfire. And that is the history of Paragon's face leak. So him blatantly saying that this face leak was obtained via doxing by this certain YouTuber is a complete lie. But what this certain YouTuber did was not acceptable either. The funny part to this whole entire thing was when this certain YouTuber said another YouTuber, Imaginary Next, was the one that gave it to him, he proceeded to instantly ban Imaginary Next without any proof whatsoever. And keep in mind, he only banned Imaginary Next just because this certain YouTuber said it. Again, after the videos released that had Paragon's face in it, Paragon decided to also return the favor by leaking this certain YouTuber's face in sub-announcements as well. Very mature. And so here is where the AUT situation comes in. Paragon was originally banned for posting this picture in sub-announcements from the AUT Discord. However, then his ban reason got twisted multiple times for some odd reason. While they could have just kept the ban reason for breaking Discord TOS, they did a blunder and they mixed it up. However, what it came down to was this screenshot over here of Paragon saying the hard R, which Paragon claims to be untrue and edited. So now this is where the funny part comes in as well. This person in the screenshot is literally me, and the context behind that screenshot was the fact that he posted that in his old gang's Discord. Paragon, aka Alpha Cadet, used to be the owner of a gang known as Pufferfish, and that screenshot originated from that gang's Discord. Oh, also a reminder, he used that same Discord to dislike bomb one of my older videos. Again, what a mature community manager. So then he goes on to call his ban reason BS, which is again completely untrue. He doxed a person just because they put his face reveal into his video. He could have been the bigger man and just kept him banned, but that's what he did. Anyways, with that context out of the way, he uses this screenshot to make an argument against me that I should have brought this situation up to him. So again, I explained my reason as to why I did not want to bring it up with him. And I'll say it again. Number one, he was never involved in the situation, so his opinion on the matter is absolutely irrelevant. He does not speak on behalf of Uzu either, so again, he had no right to make a comment on the situation. Some of you may counter argue and say that that's the same for me. However, there were clearly no problems when I first made the Uzu side of the story. But of course, since this side of the story did involve Will, they contacted me to get their side of the story. So yes, this did involve me to get their side of the story out as well. Have I ever said, or am I saying that everything that they say is true? Obviously no. But if it was a situation involving Paragon, I would have contacted him, of course. But it clearly was not, thus I did not contact him. Another part which a lot of you seem to be misunderstanding is the portion where I say, right, have fun with those, I guess. 99% of them were shit posts anyways. That portion is me talking about the moderator apps but not what he said. Paragon also claims in his announcement that I only play YBA for money, which is completely untrue. And thank you, Paragon, for putting words into my mouth and spreading false information amongst the community for this. I have been playing YBA around release. I have played YBA before Steel Ball Run existed or before the first Requiem existed. I have certainly been enjoying my time in YBA, but not even once have I done it to gain money. I played YBA because it was fun. And clearly, Paragon uses the opportunity of the situation to twist words and make me look bad. So again, thank you, Paragon, for giving misinformation to the entire community about me, and this is one out of several cases. Moving on to his shitcast. As soon as Paragon banned me, he proceeds to type all of those in the Discord chat and then make a podcast. In this podcast, he spews nothing but BS. I am about to debunk everything he says in here while being as transparent as possible.
His profile on mod chat. It's really pathetic, honestly. He's done this many times. He's stuck his nose in business that isn't his fucking business, and then acted like he knows everything about it, and then it creates hate for people. And I'm tired of pretending like he's just informing people when clearly he has a fucking agenda to make us look bad. I'm done with it.
My response to this: 1, I do not stick my nose into situations. I only talk about matters that are public. Additionally, I work with the information that I have in hand. If there are extra information that people want to contact me with, I get DM'd all the time. This applies for Will's case as well. The only single exception to this is the fact that Jacob's video was out. And the only reason why I put that out was because I was involved in exposing this entire thing. And you, in my DMs, try to keep me hush-hush for not this to look bad, along with only demoting Jacob when I mentioned that this was a thing, and you acknowledge the fact that this has happened to multiple people. I have also talked to you before. I have no personal hatred, no personal agenda towards you or anybody I make the videos on. I made that crystal clear on our first discussion, and yet here you are saying that is the case. Thank you, Paragon, for misinforming people.
Exactly. And
Like
people,
us too. I'm pretty sure we would also get banned. So
yeah, my account would have fucking been banned because Uzu was paying me for being community manager. Like all the entire staff team would be wiped out.
yeah, we would have all gotten banned. So
Will did not give a single fuck about that either. And yet people have the balls to fucking defend him over this shit. That's really pathetic. I'm just gonna ban everybody defending this dude because you are retarded beyond a reasonable doubt. I cannot. Like, I've seen the YBA community do retarded shit, but that is just unbelievable.
My response to this: I have never defended either side. This means I have never defended Will, nor have I defended Uzu. However, you go out of your way to say that I did, you even list this on the ban reason, and then you continue to surround your argument around this. Thank you, Paragon, for misinforming people again.
Yeah, this dude straight out lied and said that Uzu was paying staff for doing homework. No. What Philip offered was that he'd help with Uzu's homework for MUI buffs, which is Ultra Instinct. It's a custom spec. He was not paying him real fucking money. That's just a straight out lie. And he put this in his video.
My counter argument to this: I never did lie. In fact, you just twisted what I said over here and said that I did lie. I said that Uzu paid his mods in either spec buffs or Robux, and also there is a screenshot of Sony admitting to this as well. And I even went out of my way to go into your DMs and confirm this to you, so you know the fact that I did ask you this, and yet you still have the audacity to twist it and say I lied? Thank you, Paragon, for misinforming people yet again.
Why are you attacking him for spending more time on YBA instead of doing his homework? That's genuinely like
My response to this: at the start of my video, I made it crystal clear that this video that I made was not to attack or send hate to Uzu. So, You're just gonna say that I went and attacked Uzu after I clearly said at the start of the video this video is nothing like that? Thank you, Paragon, for again lying and twisting the situation. And as I've mentioned before, I only mentioned that portion because this was in my interview with Will V. Yet, you still fail to acknowledge this and say this.
Before he was getting even.
So
he was
how
getting-
how are people saying that he's underpaid? The fuck?
I'm guessing he made at least $100,000 off of YBA just from making this shitty ass laggy map. This is probably the easiest fucking money he ever made in his entire life, and people are saying he got scammed and underpaid. That's fucking bullshit.
My response to this: not even once have I mentioned Will V getting underpaid. I know for a fact that $60,000 in a single year is a lot of money. And yet here you are, again, twisting the context and what I said to make me look bad and yourself look so good. However, I did say Will did get scammed out of his 20%, and you know why I do say that? I say that because that's literally what happened. Uzu took Will's 20% away and then removed him from the development team, and you're gonna say that's not a scam or a finesse? And by the way, Uzu does admit to this, so you are contradicting yourself right now. Thank you, Paragon, for misinforming people again.
Like I put hours of my life into I'm not gonna say that I deserve more pay than him, but I put hours into my life to work on this fucking community. I do not get paid. I get paid like $10 a month if you converted that Robux to real life money. Like that's how much I get paid, despite him only putting, I don't know, probably like I'm gonna say 100 hours out of for to make the entire map, right? I'm gonna say 100 hours. Meanwhile, I spent at least I'm gonna guess by now like 10,000 hours at least being a community manager, and I probably got paid around $500 in real life in Robux.
I like how you're trying to compare your position with a developer's position. People who contribute to making the game are more important than people who moderate the game. Thus, the reason why this conversation is absolutely irrelevant to the topic, Paragon. Besides, there's the fact that 75% or even more of the community dislikes you. And you've also mentioned how you already hated a majority of the community as well. And your response to this was,
That's the person you're listening to. Meanwhile, I'm the guy who I don't get paid that much to do this shit. The only reason I'm doing this is because I actually respect Uzu for what he's done for the game. Because since day one, I enjoyed this game. I was a normal player like all of you guys. Like, I enjoyed the fucking game. I didn't become a mod until later. That's the only reason.
okay, you respect Uzu and you like the game, so no other morals behind this, Paragon? Because as far as from what I've heard, you can love and respect the game as a regular player as well. You are not obliged to do moderation for a community that you don't even like. You are not obliged to sit for 14 hours and get paid for $10 an hour. Nobody has chained you or tied you to a chair. But yeah, you're still out here saying you do this because you respect what Uzu did. Is that the true reason why? Or is that the fact that you're actually just power hungry? Since you love digging up the past and showing and leaking everybody's DM conversations with you, I'm going to also go ahead and talk about your past experiences with people. D is the owner of Troublesome Battlegrounds and Troublesome Battlegrounds 2. A year ago, I interviewed D about Alpha, aka Paragon. I talked to D about a matter between him and Paragon, and now I'm going to go over that on this video again. Paragon decided to do a massive ban wave on D's game. It doesn't matter if it was a test place, Paragon. People came there, play the game to test it, yet you still banned hundreds and I think around 200 people. And then when you had a DM conversation with D, you decided to not even have any sort of remorse. You instead decided to call it really entertaining, and you say you felt better than ever. And you did all of this just because you got demoted. Call D whatever you want, okay? I do not care. The fact remains, you went out of your way to ban 200 people for your own enjoyment, and again, from these screenshots, you feel no remorse whatsoever. So what if this same thing repeats in YBA? Can you imagine what type of calamity this guy's gonna bring upon us? What says that he has changed from his past and grew? If this was truly the case, he would have maintained a good relationship with the community, which a community manager is supposed to do and have. Yet, that is sadly not the case for you. Oh yeah, let's not forget the fact that the owner of Troublesome Battlegrounds 2, D, admits the fact that you said the hard R and you were being racist. You used people's dead relatives to counter-argue people's arguments. And not even once in your counter-argument against D, you deny this. Now, fast forward to today, let's talk about your incident in AUT. Notice how there were no issues in AUT prior to your arrival, but suddenly, magically, drama started because you came in. I've already went over the entire topic, okay? But just notice how drama follows and rotates around you. If you had not started beef with the staff members of AUT, you wouldn't have had that incident with Kerr, okay? Let's go to the root of the situation as well. If you hadn't posted that certain YouTuber's face to thousands of people to see, and your counter argument to that was the fact that you didn't say who it was, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day because the majority of the community already knew who it was, and yet you still posted that certain person's face, which is again, Discord TOS. You essentially doxed him. And again, I'm not saying what this certain YouTuber did was right too. He posted your face for thousands of people to see too. But your childish response to this by posting his face, your mentality of finger for a finger, has caused this situation. Notice how this always revolves around you. Let's talk about your ban on Kensetto. To everybody that is watching this, I'm about to give you some context on the situation. Certain YBA YouTubers got sponsored by a company called Gemsloot. Essentially, a lot of YouTubers got warned for this, but the only person who got banned for this and was a YouTuber known as Kensetto. So you're probably wondering, why was Kensetto the only person that was banned among multiple people who also got sponsored by Gemsloot? The answer to that is pretty simple, and it might sound a little bit stupid, but it is true. Kensetto beat Paragon in a 1v1 while Paragon was using his spec. And I'm not joking when I say this, by the way. I'm being dead serious. Another YouTuber, Bobu, also claims this. And a reason why that I believe this is a month ago, you lost to a 1v1 against a System member. System was a gang on YBA until it got banned by Paragon. And so I've been provided with this screenshot of him asking who is the owner of System. Mind you, this screenshot was taken after the 1v1 and Paragon lost. And so a day later, System is gone, and I'll let you guess why. Same reason as to why that one YouTuber got banned for leaking Paragon's face 6 months ago. So apparently it was a problem for that entirety of 6 months, but now suddenly it was a problem because Paragon lost in a 1v1. How low leveled can you be? You have stooped to levels that is beyond recognition. Low as low can get. You are the most corrupt, manipulative, and the most word twisting, context twisting loser I've seen in this community. And your vile actions of 100% of you slandering me and also using another YouTuber, Eclipse, to go do this for you as well. Do you honestly think you have accomplished anything by having Eclipse attack me? And the main reason why I say you were the main motivation behind Eclipse's 7-minute counter drama video was because Eclipse failed to mention a lot of things in his video. A lot of things that you have also failed to mention. Mind you, Paragon has a special role in Eclipse's Discord, and he also told me that he himself asked Eclipse to become a moderator. So this just proves to me how tight they are. So then you go to Eclipse in the Discord. By the way, the Eclipse Discord's chat, the general chat, was shut down, and a person in Eclipse's Discord, who I'm going to keep anonymous, is telling me that you, Paragon, had a discussion with Eclipse about this situation. So imagine the amount of bias and BS Eclipse was fed by this individual. And I am honest to God, you are the most manipulative person that I've ever met. You have to go as far as to convince other people to make a video on me to meet your ends. You literally needed Eclipse to voice you, by the way. I am talking myself myself and myself alone. I am not including anyone else into this. But seems like you have failed to do that, and again, you have included people that were not even interested in being involved in the first place. Eclipse says it himself. He doesn't like drama, and he doesn't like to talk about it unless if he absolutely has to, which a third party convinced him to, and in this case, that third party is Paragon. As I've said, you are a twisted human being, and this has been proved several times. I tried to pile it up all in this one video. Go ahead and deny whatever you want. I am not a fan of the eye for an eye mentality. However, you have pushed me and you have left me no choice but to defend myself. Again, one, you did not have to be involved in this entire thing. You could have just let Uzu made a response instead of going into Discord's general chat and typing paragraphs and paragraphs of stuff. And then not only that, you go into your podcast and then go on to misinform everybody without any sort of context or without even watching the entire video. And then you go out of your way to say that I am the one who is misinforming everybody. I am the one who was the antagonist and I am the one who was terrible. Anyways, I went a little bit overboard with that, but let's just continue his podcast talk or whatever.
Will only came out because he got mad that.
He wasn't being paid for free anymore. That's the only reason he excused it.
Another obvious twist of context. Will is not mad because he's not getting paid. Will is mad because he got scammed out of his permanent 20%.
We made the stage VC for fun, but it just so happens that this drama is being brought up because of a fucking retarded YouTuber. I'm about to start banning YouTubers who talk about drama, because like I don't mean to censor anybody, but like this is genuinely getting like to a point where I cannot stand YouTubers at all.
This guy really has the audacity to say that he's not trying to censor anything. Well, that's what he exactly did in the YBA Reddit. Speaking of which, let's go over that real quick. Paragon has went out of his way to take down posts regarding me or Reborn Nova under the context of misinformation. He also went out of his way to ban a person who made a post about my ban, and the only thing he talked about was me getting banned. His argument on the Reddit to this was the screenshot above. Look how he first says everything Reborn said about me was disproven, and even Reborn admitted it. Wow, you just went out of your way to defend yourself first. Congratulations. So he goes on to explain the criminally underpaid situation, which was Reborn's situation. He says that Reborn agreed to these payments and was looking for Uzu to give him a better pay. That's true because I talked to him recently. He says that he was actually expecting Uzu to change the price himself, but in the past he literally did get criminally underpaid, which is also a fact. So how are you going to call this misinformation? Anyways, a lot of people did clearly get mad about this situation, so there were waves and waves of this entire thing in the Reddit. Okay, so that's basically the CCP censorship that was going on in the Reddit. Moving on.
You guys do not fucking deserve money you make off the game for making drama content only. They do not even make what. The thing is, this dude, he doesn't even record YBA when he makes these fucking videos about the drama. He does not care about YBA. He just wants money, and he's gonna trick everybody in the community just to get views. He does not give a single shit about any of you guys, and he's making these videos just to make money off of you. That's not somebody I want in this community, so I'm just gonna start banning them right away.
This is just blatant accusations, and this is just complete BS. First off, I don't only make videos on drama, and that is very clear if you look at my past videos. And again, you've somehow convinced Eclipse that this was the case as well, so congratulations to you. Two, what the hell are you talking about? Just because I don't play YBA in my background doesn't mean I don't care about the game. Every live stream I've made on the game was on YBA, and my live stream viewers can account to that. And the base of your argument is that I don't care about YBA because I don't put it in my videos as background gameplay. I just hope you realize how stupid that sounds. And then there's the talk about me being manipulative. Me apparently trying to trick the community to make money. Congratulations, Paragon, with another baseless accusation. At the end of the day, if anybody else is better off with this community, is you. A majority of the community still has issues with you, and you still see yourself as the crystal clear human being, the perfect, the angel, the saint. You still refuse to acknowledge anything that you have done was bad. Not even a single action, including clearly obvious one, like Nexus ban. Moving on.
Like the past 10 YouTubers that I met, besides Eclipse, have all started shit in one way or another. Like, I'm genuinely convinced that, like, Eclipse and a few other YouTubers that aren't really that involved in the community are the only people who should be able to make content, because everybody
Yeah,
else is
but
just making stupid shit.
people are saying
I mean, I didn't think that Paragon would be taking ideologies from North Korean leaders, but he still agrees to the fact that some YouTubers should be silenced because of the content that they make. And again, he refuses to think, you know, if this many people are having issues with him, why doesn't he think that there's a problem with him rather than these other people? Not once has he looked at himself and self-reflected, okay? I have not even seen him once apologize for anything that he has done, nor admit to a fault. Oh yeah, and that same Eclipse that you've manipulated into pretty much releasing that video. Yep, that's why you love him, right? At the end of the day, your relationship with Eclipse is always going to favor you. Oh yeah, and a quick FYI, I did get a lot of DMs, ads, and a lot of server raids from some Eclipse fanboys as well. That is genuinely the truth of it, and the reason why I did get my DM spammed is because I leave my DMs open, because I did say that I would be taking any questions that you had. So, thank you Paragon, again, for being a really good liar and a manipulator.
And then the last 2 minutes in the fucking video are basically saying that Will got scammed, even though Will's a useless fucking bitch. Like, he did nothing for the community or the game for the past how many months he was getting paid, and yet you want to defend him? You really think he's a valuable member of the fucking community?
Still saying I defended him. You must love twisting the context so much and also just pinpointing it and repeating it just to make me look this bad. Paragon, if anybody has a vendetta, it's clearly you having a vendetta against me. I have been nothing but reasonable in your DMs. Even when you try to rub stuff like the staff team doesn't like you, you forced me to talk to you. I have not even once went out of my way to diss, insult, or even start an argument in our DM conversation, okay? So go ahead, leak every single DM conversation that we had.
The reason I'm so angry is because I've never seen Uzu do anything like this, and now people are believing that he does do it because of a few fucking developers who have no idea what they're talking about are talking shit about Uzu. Like,
so you obviously state that you have some clear bias for Uzu's side already. Congratulations. Not only that, you claim that Uzu has not done this, while Uzu also admits to doing this himself. I have DM screenshots of him admitting to underpaying Reborn Nova. But again, that was in the past, and that's what I strictly talked about in my second video as well. It was the past. And I did mention now, current time, present day, he is paying better, he's paying well, and he has changed from that aspect.
people are saying stuff about Reborn showing his son experience. What people don't know is that Reborn is basically a fucking liar. I'm telling you guys right here and now. I don't care what he said in the video, but he's just a fucking bitch. I never liked this guy. The moment he came into this community, I already know that he's a fucking bitch.
listen,
But the first time I met him in voice chat, he called me the hard R just because I said hello.
Lily, if you're gonna say I'm uninvolved, you shouldn't be making comments like this either. And I am sorry for saying that you sound like you got a pair of chopsticks up your nose, but again, you shouldn't really be making comments like this at all. And plus, in defense of Reborn, he told me that he only called you a bitch, not the hard R. So with that information, you're just trying to make him look bad.
quality YB has right now is not because of those fucking idiots that are complaining right now. It's because of the developers we hired now that were being underpaid because Will and these other assholes were taking the pay from them.
As I've said before, Uzu should have taken responsibility for this himself. He wasn't supposed to involve the devs' payments with Will's 20%. The devs, again, have nothing to do with this. This is an agreement that Uzu made, so again, he should be the one taking responsibility for this by paying that money out of his own pocket. But that's probably never going to happen with, again, what Will has done. Moving on.
Let me comment on that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The side of like these motherfuckers who literally threatened my account, Reborn's account, by the way. Literally everybody in the situation. If they went through with their scummy plan, that would have gotten all of our accounts banned.
Okay, so I didn't hear anything about threats before, but Clam does make a good point here. If Will went through with his plan, anybody who got paid from the YBA group would have gotten banned, and that's because it's tainted/poisoned Robux.
Basically, a YouTuber made a video. I'm not gonna say his name because he did this for money and attention. One of our developers, Reborn, he's not ranked as a developer anymore because he keeps starting shit. He hasn't been ranked a developer for a while. He's a contributor now, but he's basically one of our main animators. But basically, he claimed that he was being underpaid, and
I mean, you still have the audacity to spread false rumors about me. But aside from that, you also twist the context again. Reborn wasn't complaining about not getting paid well. Reborn only talked about not getting paid well in the past. In fact, again, he talks about getting paid well currently. This is all I have left to say and all I have left to show you. Paragon cannot be trusted, and this community is better off without him, for sure. And Eclipse, I am sorry that you had to hear that half-assed context, but I just do not appreciate the fact that you even put out that video. And I hope with this video you at least have a better point of view on this. However, even after this video, if your point of view does not change, I cannot believe that you'd still believe a guy who was clearly lying about his own identity to the community for an entire year just to ban evade. Moral of this story: I gave my point of view on how I did the video. I hope that is extremely clear to you guys. Again, I have nothing against Uzu. I have nothing against Will. I don't have anything against anyone. I have only tried to get both sides' story heard. There were no problems when I did it in the first video, but apparently there were problems when I did it in the second video. And again, as for the second video, I think you can clearly understand that it would be an extreme bias, and I would be a hypocrite if I did not post their side of the spectrum as well. Aside from that, Paragon cannot be trusted. He uses people in the community and the community to twist words and turn people against me. With these actions, he has not grown from the past. To this day, his childish responses to almost everything is absolutely unacceptable, and him continuing to slander my name for no reason other than for his personal vendetta is absolutely unacceptable, thus why I made this video. And again, I'd like to make this crystal clear. Please do not send hate. Please do not dislike bomb or do anything like that to anybody mentioned in the video. A certain YouTuber did not mention this, sadly, but I am still going to do it. None of the people, even after what they have done, do not deserve any of these. My intentions was to first clear out the story from my side, and also put out the true colors of Paragon into public. Paragon is the main reason why almost every drama or beef gets ignited. If that video was there and Uzu made a clear response like he did, as I've mentioned before, I would have done a final analysis and it was history from there. However, Paragon still neglected on doing this and spoke on behalf of Uzu. And again, involved parties that weren't supposed to be involved, making this situation even bigger and worse. That is all I have left to say in my defense. And again, I hope you can truly see this situation from my eyes as well. However, I am going to make a promise on this video here and now. I am no longer going to make any more videos on this situation at all, as I've mentioned before. My intentions are not to drag this drama on the ground and extend it, nor is it the evil intent of trying to get both sides to continue to fight. In this video, all I did was explain the document from my point of view, and also made arguments and counter arguments regarding the issue with what I had. And the only reason why I have done that is because the other stuff that I said in the video had been taken out of context and was being used against me to slander my name and drag my name on the ground. This is absolutely in no way, shape, or form an attack video, but it is a defense video. If you claim that me showing Paragon's true colors is an attack, you are completely wrong. I have only done that because the type of person this individual is. And at the end of the day, how can you trust a dude who has been lying about his own identity for over a year? I'm probably going to have to expect something back from Paragon, although I don't want to. He will also deny or try to counter argue a lot of stuff in this video. I don't plan on making a response to this unless if he starts directly attacking me again. However, this matter could have been kept in my DMs. Paragon could have approached me in my DMs and asked me to take down the video. However, he did not do that and instead went on to slander my name and talk absolutely nothing but vile trash about me, which is again the main reason why I have made this video.